Hi guys, welcome back to the Luchi Final Fantasy XIV podcast. This is episode 10. It is 11/9/2015 and patch 3.1 comes out tomorrow. I apologize for not being as active, but as always, thank you for watching. If you have any comments or requests for content, let me know. I will definitely get those going for you. I've done a couple tank ones for one of my buddies, and if you have any questions about tanking, go ahead and check those out. But they focus mostly on low level gladiator and around 50 for warrior. Um, but to this patch, there's a lot of content. I highly suggest reading the patch notes, especially if you are hyped for this. It took me an hour to get through all of the juicy details, so I'm only going to highlight some of this stuff because I don't want you guys sitting here for more than 20 or 30 minutes listening to me ramble about nothing. So, well, it's not nothing, but you know what I mean. So, the first big thing is we're going to have 8 new sections of story to do with a couple new characters. We're also going to see 2 new dungeons, our new raid, and our new EX Primal. And we're also going to have our exploratory missions and the Lord of Merminions, as well as some new emotes and new minions. I'm not going to go into detail on all of this stuff because some of it I've covered previously, and a lot of it is just going to be glorious to experience it. And I don't have a lot of information on it other than where you can pick up the quests. So, and if you're like me, you're probably going to forget that by tomorrow. If you enjoy doing the Beast Tribe quests, the Vanu Vanu is now up in the Sea of Clouds, and they have adjusted the leave quests and the sightseeing icons, so they're a little bit more noticeable, I guess. And you can now pick up a couple of new items from your Grand Company, and there are some new crafting items for housing and a couple of other things you can buy. One of my favorites is the heap of books and the toadstool seats. They've also added a new NPC vendor for housing. He is called the Steward, and you can now add up to 5 vendor NPCs to a large plot and uh, one less each for the other size of housing. There are now tenants for personal housing, so you can have up to 3 friends share your house with you, including doing estate customization, gardening, and stable tending if you wish. Starting tomorrow, they're going to start the countdown for inactive housing. If whether you are in an FC or it's a personal house that's not being used, you will lose that house within 45 days. You will get 3 warnings letting you know, hey, this is about to be destroyed. Just go say hi to the house. And after that, you have 30 days to go pick up your 80% of gil and personal items that were removed from it when it was demolished and put on the market. So keep that in mind. If you're watching this and you had a house and you haven't played in a while, make sure you go back and check on that. They've also added in some brightness adjustments and some different viewing options for your retainers. And as mentioned earlier, there is a new Lords of Verminion game that's going to be added. And what they're going to do is they're also going to include things in the Golden Saucer as part of your challenge log. So as you're completing, so many of such things, you'll get achievements for that. And there are a couple of new hats in the Golden Saucer, and there might be more other things. I'm not really sure, but they look pretty crazy. And there are going to be 5 new cards that you can use in Triple Triad. As far as flying goes, they have now added in the flighty looking mounts to the flying mount option, and they've also included Keyring and the Draught Chocobo, Amber Draught Chocobo, and Ceremony Chocobo. They did not add in the ponies, but if you have all the ponies that have Keyring, you can use him. They have also added a flying mount roulette. They've added in the new hairstyles uh, from the contest, as well as 7 other hairstyles. They've added in 3 new dances, and they have added in something called an idling camera. It will actually include depth of field. So when you're doing pictures or videos, you'll have that more artistic effect. And you will also have something called group pose now, where if you decide that you and your buddies all want to do the harvest dance together, as long as you're in a party, you can do harvest dance and then do group pose, and then everybody will start doing it in sync. So that's pretty cool, and the idling camera will also work with that as well. They've done some fine tuning on Paladin, Ninja, Bard, and Astrologian. They've adjusted some TP costs, some cooldowns, some effects of Royal Road, and tried to adjust for latencies that were messing up the mudras. They've also adjusted the terminal velocity PvP action. And when it comes to limit breaks, I don't know how many of you guys realize this, but the limit break built more slowly if you had members in your party that had repeat uh, jobs. So if you had like 2 black mages, 2 white mages, now that doesn't matter unless you're in an instance where you have to be a full party before going in. So, say like the newest EX fight or something. Something else that they've done was they went ahead and added in item level requirements for the Limitless Blue Extreme and Thawkest Thawk Extreme. So it'll make it a little bit easier on people who are going in, and it will be 165 for Limitless and 175 for Thawk. They did add an Echo in, and they've also made some adjustments for some of the drops. You will now pick them up out of the treasure chest instead of just having them automatically dropped into some sort of roll mode without actually opening up the chest. I apologize, I read that wrong. If the I'll just read the way it says it. The following items will now appear in the treasure chest of each party in an alliance when undertaking Circus Tower or the World of Darkness. And that's the Wind Up, Onion Knight, and the Puff of Darkness. So they will be in each individual one instead of all 24 people trying to roll on the same thing. Which is why I only got my Wind Up Onion Knight this year, and why I have still not gotten a Puff of Darkness. I've only seen her drop 2 or 3 times. And now you will be able to get encrypted tomestones, carbon coats, and carbon twines with poetics. And poetics are costless now, so that will make it a lot easier for the people who are transitioning into Ishgard. Also, the exploratory missions, be really careful with this because you can share company airships if you're in a really small FC or you're not in an FC. You can join a party as long as the members in an FC with an airship. You will all have to go over there and use access their ship. You can have up to 24 people. It would have to be 3 parties of 8. And what it will do is you can go in as an alliance, but it will break you up into 3 separate parties once you're there. And you can go in with less than 8, but be aware that they may force you into some specific job roles. Once you get to the diadem, they've got some like a mending area and a place to trade in your gear, and there are aether currents that you need to access every time you're there. And you will have objectives to fill just like you do in a dungeon, find so many of these, kill so many of these. And you can access up to 8 treasure chests at a time. And enemies are marked by number so you can figure out how hard they are. And pre-entry to the diadem, you can choose whether you want it to be easy, normal, or hard. But please pay attention when you guys do group up, because you will have to have fuel for each one of the people that are going. So make sure that you go to the proper NPC for that. He is in the pillars, and so that's going to be an important factor in the airship exploration. They have now added a level sync option to the, or not option, they have forced a level sync onto the Great Goo Ball Library to 150 now, because when you're that close to 60 and you've got, a mixed match of eye levels, it can cause some aggro strain. So that will help now with that. And they have done a big regrouping of the roulettes. Previously, we had uh, low, high, and expert roulette. Before that, there wasn't even an expert roulette. But they ended up renaming the low level roulette to leveling roulette, and that's anything up to 50. And now our expert roulette has only included level 60 dungeons. So what they've done is they've decided to stick to 2 dungeons at a time for your expert roulette, always your newest ones. So what they've done is you have your low level for leveling. I mean, uh, your leveling roulette for leveling, and then you have your level 50 for uh, if your level 50s and up, and then they're going to add in a level 60 roulette, and then you'll have your expert. So Never Reap and the Fractal are getting bumped into a level 60 roulette, which obviously it's just going to be those guys. And then your Saint, Mocanes, Arbitum, and Ferroserious Hard are going to be your new expert roulette. The good thing is, though, they did add experience to the level 50 dungeons, so doing the level 50 roulette now will be an extra bonus because you'll actually get EXP while you're in there. For those of you who like doing the unsynced, you do have a completion time now at the end, so you know how fast you ran it. There's also a cool little update to the completion of your roulettes as well as your drops. It's going to be in the lower right corner now, so it's a little more visible. So it'll be easier to know whether you finished something for the day or the week or not. Also, if you go in progress to an instance, it will now say time elapsed instead of how far they have progressed. They have adjusted ARF, Never Reap, and the Fractal. Instead of getting 100 tomestones of law from ARF, you will now get 120. And in Never Reap and the Fractal, instead of 80 law, you'll get 100, and instead of 40 esoterics, you'll only get 30. Special items like purified coke and sky spring water are now available to be purchased with tomestones of law. And as mentioned before, your carbon twine, carbon coat, and cryptid tombstones are now in the others tab from Ariana for 300, 400, and 200 poetics, and your gear has now been lowered in price. And if you're still working on your relic, a Pawns of Flesh, Labor of Love, Method in His Vows, and Treasured Mother dungeon drops will be guaranteed to drop each time you run the dungeon. And if you are doing soul attunement and soul resonance, the light grinding for your weapon, they will receive light now when you are unsynced. That before you could get drops while you were unsynced, but for some reason they hadn't updated it to where you could get light when you were unsynced, so they fixed that now, and that will make it a lot easier for those of you who could, even solo a dungeon. You don't have to wait for a full party or a dungeon queue. Centurio seals have been increased now in the older areas, and weathered soldiery gear is now in the 2-digit cost now instead of the 3-digit cost now from Allied Seals if you wish to purchase soldier gear for whatever reason. Another favorite feature of mine in this patch is the update to potions. They are based on a percentage, but obviously a lot of us now, if you're level 60, your HP and mana pool is so large that the maximum amount that they put on there makes them almost useless. So they've increased it to where the percentage is still the same, but now your lowest potion is going to be 160 points max or 1040 max. And they've also decreased the recast time by about a third. So now you can pop them faster and they're twice as strong as they used to be. They've added a new pugilist arm from Rowena. And they've also made certain items like the Dream Tunic and the Reindeer Suit and the Starlight outfit and the False Mustache dyeable. And they've also made the dyes such as the pastels and the other untradeable dyes. They have made them tradable in the future, but any that were obtained before 3.1 will still be untradeable and they will have the old name. The ones you will receive in the future will have a different name to differentiate between the two. They have increased the price of the items such as red clay and the empty clusters to 3 digits from 2 digits, but they have also changed the prerequisites to get your master tools. You can also put your seasonal gear in the armoire. It's going to stick that way. Any seasonal gear you get from here on will go into your armoire. You don't have to wait for them to update it. They've added more items to the Calamity Salvager for those of you who did the events and may have lost your items. And they've done some adjustment and recategorized a few of the things in the crafting sections, things to make it a little bit more fluid since you had your previous your master crafts. Now you have specialty crafts. Now it'll be easier to differentiate between what you can and cannot do. And also they have added a couple of new features for recipes and items when you're gathering, and that is if you are, say, working on a bronze chest piece and you don't have any bronze ingots, you can hit search for item, as we've already been able to do, and see if you have the item on your person or your retainer. But then you can also now hit the search for item by crafting method, and it will bring up the actual recipe for bronze ingots. And then that way, if it was in a previous tab, if it was like in 1 through 5 instead of 6 through 10, you're not searching through all of your tabs trying to find it. And the same goes with your gathering. Say you had a friend who was doing some blacksmith leveling and you knew you were going to need a lot of fire shards and crystals or clusters for them. Instead of going through all the different levels of items to find the different categories for fire crafting, you can type in fire and it will pop up fire shard, fire crystal, and fire cluster, so all of them will be grouped together. Also, you can now turn in your log gear for tomes, as well as, I believe these are some of the PvP items. I'm not really sure. I've never seen the names of these things before. They've also updated descenting. They've given us a few new minions and new mounts, and I'm not going to give away anything. You guys can look at the pictures, and they didn't tell us how we get them anyway yet, so I'm interested to see how we get these. But I did include one picture of the cute little penguin minion because he's so adorable. And they've also added in new barding for the chocobos. Another cool thing that they added, besides making some of the previously untradeable die tradable, is that they've allowed you to try on multiple items at a time, and also, as in this example in the lower right, uh, do a two-piece glamour over a one-piece item. So obviously, if you were putting a linen cowl over an antiquated Creed Curious, you probably wouldn't see your headpiece anymore that had went with that. But if you're like me, you hate most of the hats in the game anyway. If you're putting a cowl on that, that's what you want to see. So that is an option now. They've also updated the auto translate list to include some of the Lords of Verminion and other terms. They have also updated the party list. I'm super excited about this for tanks and healers. If an enemy or a party member is out of range, they will be grayed out on the list. You'll still see their name, but they're going to be dimmed a little bit. So that'll make it a little bit easier if you're getting ready to pull or you're trying to heal the whole party and you notice there's like one person that's like almost dead and you're trying to overheal them and it's not healing them for some reason. It's because they're too far out of your reach. And it's going to save a lot of time and help avoid a lot of mistakes. Um, they've also updated the map. For those of you who like to treasure hunt or get lost really easily, you can now lock your map. Once you find something on a map and you want to go to that area, you can lock that, and no matter which area you end up teleporting to, that will stay up on your map and you'll be able to reference back to that. They've also added gatekeepers to the map. They represent the NPCs like lift attendants, and they've also added Ethernet name locations if you mouse over them. So that makes it a little easier to differentiate between where you need to go. And another favorite of mine that they added that I added a picture on was um, the red flag for linking on a map. And I apologize. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot right now. But this is the last little thing I'm gonna cover. But I'm really excited about it. Say if you're doing a hunt or you're fake grinding with some people, and you're kind of in the vicinity, or you kind of know where you're going, but you don't want to keep your map wide open. Now, if you've been linked to flag, you can see that on your compass now to be able to find that a lot easier. They also did a couple little updates to the HUD and the character configuration, so and fixed a lot of bugs. So there's been a lot of detail and a lot of hard work put into this patch. I'm really, really excited for it. I hope you guys are too. I know there's a few of you traders that are waiting for Fallout 4. Um, but hopefully I will see a lot of you in a few hours and we can start grinding for our level 200 gear or our level 180, 185 from the explorations and stuff. But again, thank you for watching. Sorry that this is kind of long just for a patch, but it's a real patch, not just a little update. So lots of goodies. Like I said, check it out if you want to learn more, because I barely scratched the surface on what this stuff is all about. And happy hunting, and I will see you guys soon.